First, I just want to say that big shout out to two people on my team, Autumn and Zale, who helped me put this together in like 5 days. And they not only helped build the game and teach how the other people can build to these games, but they made the presentation so it's also fun, and you kind of reinforce how something that's fun is what we're trying to do for employees. And it's not just about fun, but everything tying back to managing human risk. We can use these as kind of sneaky ways, in a way, to set up surveys and ask questions and get information from people. And when they're playing, they don't realize that they're giving us information about what they think and how they act without posing and posturing and giving the answer they think they're supposed to. So these are really powerful tools. And like Jules said, I have always struggled with a budget and resources, and gamification sounds like such a luxury. And all of us have been building these like PowerPoint click-throughs, and we call them games, but they're really not. I think the most sophisticated thing we ever built was a crossword with PDF, and we thought we were so cool. And we had all these people that played it, right? How many people have done the crossword with the PDF file, right? Like the height of elegance and sophistication. So I take big pride in that nobody is clicking through my stuff. And I will tell you, if you guys want to come later, I'll show you, our annual training is epic. We made it interview with the hacker, and people call us and tell us it is such a cool training, and they showed it to their families because they thought it was so cool. So in the same realm, when I started the team last year, we were like, we got to find tools. What can we use? And oh, by the way, I can't budget and talk to my executives and say, can you give us a couple $1,000s to buy some tools for games? No. Can we go find some vendors that are doing some really cool things with games? Yes, but they're expensive and we're not there yet. And we kind of have to prove how the games are helping us collect metrics and get information so we can get that money. Okay. So what we did have was Microsoft Office 365. We discovered that with the license, the E3 level license, which I think most companies have, came this fantastic tool. So if you click the little grid, the 9 tiles that shows you all the apps that are available, in there you see PowerApps. PowerApps is the tool for you. It's free. It's free. I mean, it's included with this many expensive license, but company-wide, everybody in the company has access to it. So you're not struggling with getting access. People who can play, can't play, regions, there's no issues with that. It's already integrated. And the best part of the tool, which we learned as we got along and made a lot of mistakes, is that it has a data feature in the background. So you can actually use right above the little highlighted PowerApps, there's the lists, and that's another function. There's a lot of other tools. We're still exploring them. So you guys shouldn't stop at just what I'm telling you today. There's such cool stuff in here. So these are the resources that we discovered over the course of a year. So this YouTuber, Mr. Dang, and this YouTuber, Shane Young, excellent. They have tutorials, they have sample code. You could probably copy paste some of the stuff and even do a game sooner than the week that we were talking about. And then this is 3 bloggers that we used that are really helpful. And we got a lot of sample code from them and just were able to copy paste everything. And then to make the games fun, we did a lot of background gradients, fun icons, fonts, because we like to have fun with our security awareness stuff. So between knowing that you can use PowerApps function and having these resources, you don't even need anything from me. You could go ahead and build and you're ready to go. Super easy. But what I'm going to show you is a couple of sample screens so that when you go back, you can be familiar with what's coming. You can do open, create, and you can just go with it. If you have any questions, I'm here to help out. So we built a lot of games in this last year and a half. What I'm going to share with you are kind of 4 structures. These are games that we built and are reusing. So we can just change colors, we can change the questions we ask, we can change the themes, and super quick turn around a totally different game for a totally different purpose. So originally the swipe right on security game, the first one, we built that as our first. It was in February of last year, and we used it for talking about social media security, and we modeled it after a dating app. And now we reused it for supporting a data classification rollout that we're having. And so we were able to use it to share information and, right and wrong and, get engagement. And we were able to report on that, which was fantastic. So these are the 4 main games. And below the games, you see the features, the elements in PowerApps that we used. So swipe right security, we just use buttons and labels, and it's a simple quiz. So not intimidating, anybody can do it. The next game we used we called it Flag It. And this is emails. You pop up emails and people have to check off which of the email elements were suspicious. We've done this with different things, but with the game mentality, we added a timer. And so the timer made it a little bit more exciting, and then that affects your score. And we had people trying to play again and again, which was unbelievable. The last 2 games I'm kind of featuring, but with a lot of caveats. So we have a couple of very excited gamers on the team, and there's a couple of games out there that they love. And so kind of like fan fiction in tribute to these games, they modeled a couple of games after that. So Permissions Please is a game that's out there, and we used it to teach about setting permissions on your phone. And we'll talk about that. And then among others, we used it for social engineering. So below that, I'll share the slides with everybody after this, so you'll have this information. But basically buttons, checkboxes, timers, it's all included in the tool. So the first game that we talk about, the swipe right on security, the little animation is showing you kind of like the interaction with the game. Super simple. There's an introductory screen that starts it and offers instructions. We found always include instructions. It prevents people from opening it, saying, I don't know what to do, and disappearing. And it also prevents questions and reach outs. And the second screen you see is just the questions, and it's just 10 questions, and it just clicks through each one. And I will show you a little bit more in the next following slides about how we did those. But overall, we used buttons to move ahead. We used the timer function, we used images, and we used labels. So it should look pretty simple, and it should not be intimidating at all. Anybody can get in here and at least get started with it. So we put together this little video to kind of make you familiar with the interface. And I'm just going to let it play while I talk. And when you click the little grid in the upper right, right there, and you choose PowerApps, you come into this interface. And on the left side, you can see the menus, and you want to create. And then you can choose from templates too. So if you don't want to do anything and you just want to choose an existing template, that's really helpful. It gets you a head start. But we decided to create new, and we use the blank canvas function most often. But you can advance to, you can actually use this to make a portal for some of our, awareness training and click-throughs. We made a lot of things using this tool. It's just really powerful. So you want to give it a unique name. It doesn't accept repeat names. It will not overwrite anything previous. And then you get started with the canvas. This happens to be a horizontal canvas. And the example I'm going to show you is a vertical, so that you can get a feel for what the 2 default canvases that it comes with looks like. And on the left are the icons and shapes and things, elements that you can drop in. And then for each of those elements, when you drop it in on this side, you can see the properties. And those are what you can pick. What is the name of the button? What are the colors of the button? How big is the button? All of it is built in, and you can just choose and click and use the default. Or as you get good at it and you want to get creative, you can include images into buttons and colors and gradients. So here you can see this is selected, and this up here is the code that's related to that. Just kind of like in Excel, when you click a cell and then at the top are the functions you can write, that's how that works. And it comes with certain functions, and you can just use them and customize and modify. So that should give you an idea. And now this is how our game looks that we built in the interface. So on the left side, you see the features that we built. And we used buttons, text, and a logo. And so here in this example, we have the instruction button selected. And up here is the code for that button that we used. And in the case of that button, a timer starts and a little slide up of text pops up. And the timer is how long that slide up of instructions stays. So this start is one page of this game, and then there's 10 questions. So once you do the start page and then you do the first question, you can just duplicate them all into 10 questions, super easy. So this is the question, which we call each of them, we label them as Q1, and that's important in the navigation. So in this particular case, there's 2 buttons available. A question is given, and they have to select whether they agree or disagree with the statement. In this case, the disagree is the right answer, which gives them an audio. So you see the play audio, it's a ding. Yay, you got it right. And then in this, I'm showing you the agree button, which is the wrong answer in this case. And this is the function that goes next. So all of these functions are all available and explained in the tutorials. There's a library, and a lot of it is just logical. It's written in a logical way. Next, navigate, pop up. So you can logically, even if you don't necessarily have a coding background and you're interested and curious to learn, you can, build this. So I hope it looks simple to you, because that was my intention, to make it look easy. And the best part is you build this and just imagine how many different ways you can re-roll it out, every 6 months, change it. And you built it once and now you can reuse it 10 times. So this is just an example of the pop-up, and that's included in the Q1 because it's part of that Q1 screen, and it's its own element, and it's triggered by the button if they click the wrong answer. So you do the sequence. The most important thing we learned in building the games was we were so excited at the tool, we just started putting things on the canvas, then thinking it through. And we did a lot of backpedaling. Oh no, wait, that's not the way it should be. Or, oh, when a user does it. So start with the flow chart and make a flow chart of steps. A user will click this button, this will pop up. They do this and this will pop up. And then it's just a matter of going to this and just clicking and dragging and dropping buttons and the features. So we launched this game and our awareness team was very new. And we used Yammer as our internal social media platform. And it's a pretty common watering hole, especially with COVID. We had a lot of people going on Yammer and using it. So the first time we rolled it out, we had 50 users. We were kind of surprised that people voluntarily took time to go and play. And like I said, the mistake we made was not necessarily storing and connecting it to data. So we weren't able to see the answers and decide what information people are struggling with, what information we need to train them on, what additional metrics. And since then, we've been able to connect with HR data. So we actually can see what departments are struggling with what kind of information, and then we'll give them a call and say, hey, do you want an awareness session on this topic? So it's been a great tool for a lot of different things that we're doing. So this is the last screen. I just wanted to show you for, finished product. This is the pop-up. It gives you the score at the end. And this is obviously part of Q10, the last question. So simplest game we made, and really anyone can do it. So this is the email game and how this looked. Not going to go into the same level of detail because you kind of get it, canvas, elements, buttons, functions. And all we did with this game was a lot of these animations we built ourselves for other trainings, and we just reused them here. So, we do a lot of making it as short and less work as possible, limited resources. So in this game, you've got the email and they have to check, what the elements are, whether it's suspicious or not. And so we used a checkbox feature, which is another, you just drag and drop it. And then these are the 2 buttons. And what we used is our report suspicious button looks like that. So we reinforced that button, telling people and reminding them. And that's another purpose of the game. We were having a lot of people just sending everything to infosec@, and it was getting really old. So in this game, the elements we used were just, the timer was a big one. So this game, can get pretty boring looking at email and telling me what it is. But when there's a timer involved and a score tied to the timer, you would be shocked at how many people want to play it multiple times to try to beat their score. But that was a big win. This game was our second game, and we had over 100 people. So we were releasing almost each month. And Zale, who was doing these, she was doing other tasks as well while she was building the games. So, and this is pretty complicated. She wasn't reusing. She was, making them more and more intense with these little animations and slides. But again, on the bottom, you can see all we used were these 5 elements from the PowerApps tool: buttons, shapes, labels. And then we found that in the company, there's this little mascot. It's like an inside joke. He keeps coming up places. So we're starting to use him in our games a lot, the gator. And what we use him for is to provide hints, because we really want people, we have all age groups, all demographics. We have people who are familiar with the game methodology, and then we have people who are like, I don't know what to do, and we don't want to lose them. So the hints help. It helps keep people in the game. It helps them keep going with answering the questions. How cool is this slideshow? This was the permissions please game. I just wanted to share this with you as kind of a different look, all the different things you can do. I think once you see what's possible, your imagination, is the sky's the limit. You can another 5 elements that we used and made this really great tool. I don't know if you guys have ever played this game, but it's a permissions game that's out there. So we turned it into phone app permissions, because we've been trying to educate everybody. We have a lot of people with company phones, and their app settings are just all over the place. And no matter how many infographics or talks or features you do, they just never think to go and make the change. But this game became a way for people to actually interactively do it and took the fear out. And so they were able to go on their phones and do, and we had a lot of conversations about this after this as well. Which brings us to the crowning glory of our gaming junkies in our team. So I'm not a gamer. Are anybody's not a gamer here? So I had never heard of this game, but whenever we show it, everybody jumps up because apparently it's very popular. It's actually called Among Us. And we use this for social engineering. It's a little bit more involved for people because they have to use keyboards to move around and everything. But by this stage, we had people who were looking out for our games. When we posted them, they were excited. They wanted to interact. So the game, the person moves around and we pop up a lot of multiple choice questions so that they have to answer. And it's all around social engineering. And they're playing and we're collecting data on what they think, how they act, and what they do, because they're showing you what they do when they're playing. So biggest caveat between this game and the previous game, they are external real world, functions happening that are being sold by some other company that owns Among Us and that own Permission Please. So you want to credit any assets or anything that you are using. But most importantly, this is for internal use only. This isn't going anywhere. This isn't being sold for money. This isn't being used in any which way. And so we did have that conversation with our legal and HR to make sure that there was no, space for worrying. And we also, I did some looking up for my own curiosity. And as long as you're doing these things for educational purposes, and you're not kind of deviating from the intent of the game, you're not turning it into some horror show and making it negative, but you're staying with the intent of the game, you're okay. So that's useful, because if we can leverage like what's popular and trending and you can make a game for it, the amount of engagement you get is unbelievable. So we've had a lot of success. I think by this game, we were well into the 160 people that played this. So every time we're just inching up. And we're not promoting these, we're not announcing them, we just post them. And in a way, you could think of it as voluntary learning and voluntary telling us how you behave. And we're capturing a lot of metrics. So it's been a year and a half. And between these, we've got a library of about 14 games. And we're reusing them. And we even, among others, we used it multiple times with different multiple choice questions. It's super easy to go in and just change the text. And now you have a whole new game. So I wanted to show you a leaderboard that we use. And a lot of our games, we are now modeling with using the phone canvas that's in PowerApps. And so we post these up, and it seems to be a kind of understood, people don't use their entire names. So there's no public shaming and there's no embarrassment. But it definitely makes it fun, and it makes it conversational. And we'll keep using these and posting them on our Yammer channel to keep getting conversations going and have people ask questions. You know, we actually had people say, I disagreed with your number 7. Why did you do that? And so those kinds of things also make us think, how are we presenting this information? And are we being clear about it? And we don't usually get that with the trainings that we're putting out, especially not the compliance trainings and stuff. Everybody just accepts those and, you know, moves on. But with these, we actually get pushback. And so on here, you can see the tools that you can use to make the leaderboards. We've highlighted them, the gallery control and the filter. And again, we'll share these with you guys so you can have the slides to refer to, but I promise you this is super easy. And the fact that the tools are in your Office 365 suite is just, it's a godsend. You don't have to do procurement. You don't have to get permission. You don't have to find out who has access. You don't have to get any kind of interaction or APIs or connecting systems. It's just there and no money. So the last slide, which is not for reading, but again, for when I share it with you guys, this is a lot of the lessons we learned, little things. One of the biggest ones, which I will call out, is at the end when you save and then you publish the game, because it's part of like the whole suite Office platform. When you publish the game, it's default set to blast it out to everybody. And nobody will like you if you don't uncheck that, and everybody gets spammed with this game in the company, no matter how cool your game is. So that one's one that we always remember to do. So with that, I have everything.